Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to the vlog. My name is Leif and today we are talking coffee. So as many of you know, I like to start off my day with a cup of coffee or two, and the other day I got this comment from Nima where he says, I'm really curious the way you make coffee. Does it taste better in your opinion than a coffee machine? I really want to buy one of those accessories you got. So I think that they all taste great. They're my preferred ways to make coffee, and they definitely offer like a more personal way and connection to, you know, your coffee that you're making. And it's not just, you know, a machine that you just push a button and it makes your coffee for you. Well, I mean, that is kind of what this one is, but it still makes really good coffee. So anyways, let's get into each one of them. I'm gonna make a whole bunch of coffee and I'm gonna be drinking all the coffee. And if any of you are curious about any of these, there'll be links in the description where you can find out more info about them. So yeah, let's get into it and make some coffee. All right, so the first one that we have is instant coffee. Now this is really good if you're, you know, don't have that much time or if you're just being really lazy, because all you need to do is grab a cup, pour a little bit into the cup, and then pour in some boiling water. Voila! You have a cup of coffee. And this instant coffee, it's pretty good. All right, moving on. So the next one is probably my favorite way to make coffee right now. It's this thing. I have no idea what it's called, but it's really cool. All you do, you just put it on top of your cup, you take a filter thing, put the filter thing inside of it, you take whatever preferred coffee you have, you pour some in, about as much as you would for a cup of coffee, and then you just pour in some water. Then you just gradually add a little bit more hot water as it runs through. Then you can just lift it up and see where it is in the process. That's looking pretty good. I'm gonna pour a little bit more water in. So this thing is really cheap and practical, and I think it makes a great cup of coffee. And then when the coffee's done dripping, you can just take this and put it aside, and voila! We have another cup of coffee. The next one is gonna be this guy here. So how you do it is it comes apart. You start by filling water in this guy up to where that nozzle spout thing is on the side there. You fill this up with coffee, put it inside, and underneath here you see you have this little like filter thing, and it goes inside of there. So when this heats up, the water goes through and it sends up the coffee up into this here thing. And then put it on the heat. All right, so I just put the stove on full blast and it makes a really, really nice cup of coffee. It's like really rich and creamy and soft, and it's a beautiful cup of coffee. All right, so it's been a couple minutes and check this out. You see the coffee pouring out of that thing there? Yeah. And when you hear that sound, it means that it's done. See, check it out. Check this out. Oh, lovely. Look at that. Perfect. So that makes a really nice big cup of coffee. Sweet! Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the French press. But for this one, first we have to boil some more water. Alright, and the water is finished. So this one is really simple and it's an easy way to make like a lot of coffee. So if you're several people, then this is definitely a good way to go. You just pour in some coffee. Usually there's like some type of line in the glass. You can just fill it up to roughly about there with coffee. Pour in a bunch of water. Put the filter thing back in. And I like to just push it down slightly to make sure that all the coffee is underwater. There you go. And then you just let this sit for something like 5 to 7 minutes, and then it should be good to go. All right, let's put that aside. For our next way to make coffee, we have this thing. It is the Aeropress. So check it out. First, you need to boil some water. Then all we need to do is grab a cup. We start off with this filter thing. We put a little white filter in there that comes with it. Screw it on the bottom there. Put it on your cup. Pour in the desired amount of coffee. You know, if you want it strong, put a little bit more. If you don't want it so strong, don't put so much in there. Once that's done, pour in a bunch of hot water. Roughly the amount of a cup. From here, put on the press. So you might want to let that sit for a few moments so the coffee can steep in the hot water. All right, about a minute later, all you need to do is just gently push onto the top here. And all that coffee goodness ends up in your cup. So this one is a bit heavy to push. It's probably my least favorite way to make coffee. I mean, it's still really good, but I just don't like having to work this hard for it. When you hear that sound, that means all the water is out. And check it out. We have another cup of coffee. let's put this one aside and then back to the French press. After it's been sitting for a few moments, I'll show you a really nice way to push this, because sometimes it can be really heavy to push this down, but one easy way to do it is if you just push it a little bit and then pull it up, and then you see all the coffee just falls down. And then it's really easy to push it down. There you go. And the French press coffee is ready. So let's put this guy aside and move on to the next one. So our sixth and final way to make coffee is this guy, the Nespresso maker. Okay, let's just plug him in right quick. So this is really simple. You just fill up the back with some fresh cold water, put it back in, turn it on, and then you got these two blinking lights in the back there, and as soon as they're done blinking, then it's ready to make coffee. In the meantime, I'll show you the coffee. What I got is this guy. It's the Kazaar coffee. It's like the strongest one that they got. So there you go, just crack it open. You got these little capsule things. Super practical, super easy, no fuss. There you go, slide it right in, close it. The lights are ready. We're gonna make an espresso. So just put a little cup there, push the button. All right, and there we go, a beautiful little cup of espresso. So this makes an amazing cup of coffee and espressos. I think they taste great, but it does cost a little bit, those capsules, but it is really, really good. All right, so these are my preferred ways to make coffee. I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration. Now I have a lot of coffee to drink and a bunch of work to do. So for some weird reason, guys, I started drinking the coffee and I didn't think, I was like, oh, I should totally do like a taste test. Like now when I have all the coffees made like this, I've never done this before, I should do a taste test and see which one I think is the best. So I mean, I already drank the espresso. This one was fantastic. Oh my god, it's so good. And then I drank this one afterwards. That was the metal thing. I don't know what it's called, but whatever. That was, yeah, whatever. You guys remember what it was. I drank that one, also super fantastic. This one I think was the instant coffee. Of course, it's getting a little bit cold now, but it's totally fine. This one was, you know, that favorite one of mine, just that thing that you put on top here and pour in. These two are actually very similar. That's interesting. They're two completely different coffees, but they're actually quite similar. Now this guy, what was he? Oh, this was the Aeropress coffee. Also quite tasty. And then we have the French press, but we need another cup for that. Oh, the French press definitely held the heat the longest. It's still really nice and warm. Yeah, it's quite alright. It's a little bit weak though. I should have put a little bit more coffee into that one. But all in all, definitely the espresso, the Nescafe, like that is number one. This would definitely be number two. And then these guys, they're all actually very similar. There's not much of a difference. Like this guy is like slightly ahead. These two I think are gonna be sort of like there. And then the French press, oh my gosh, English, so very good. Just because it was a little bit weak, I would have liked to have made it a little bit stronger. We'll just leave that one aside. But yeah, that's sort of how I would stack them up this time around.
Aside from my soul.